the episode she wishes never happened. Carol Burnett had made millions laugh. By 1977, her comedy show was a huge hit. Every Saturday night, families gathered around the TV just to watch her. She wore wigs, funny costumes, and played crazy characters. Everyone loved her charm. She was not just funny, she was America's sweetheart. But in one episode that aired that year, something changed. Something Carol Burnett never forgot. It was supposed to be a normal taping. The cast and crew were in good spirits. The guest star was someone Carol admired. Everything was running smoothly until it wasn't. In the middle of one sketch, a comedy routine meant to make people laugh, something personal happened. Carol made a mistake. Not in the lines or the acting, but in her heart. For years, she wouldn't speak about it. She smiled through interviews and avoided the question. But her closest friends knew. That one episode haunted her. And to this day, she refuses to watch it. So what exactly happened that night in 1977? And why did it leave such a deep scar? To understand that, we have to go back to the start of that week. Back to the moment when she read the script and felt uneasy. The sketch that hit too close to home. The script was called The Reunion. It was about a woman reuniting with her long-lost father after 30 years. The sketch had its usual funny moments, but the core of it was emotional. Painful. Raw. Carol hesitated when she read it. The writing was brilliant. The lines were powerful, but they felt too real. Too familiar. You see, Carol Burnett had her own history with her father. He had been in and out of her life, struggling with alcoholism. She rarely spoke about it publicly, but it hurt her deeply. Growing up, she watched her family fall apart piece by piece. Her mother battled addiction too. Laughter became her escape, her shield. When she saw the script, she told the writers, "Are we sure this is funny?" They laughed it off, said the emotion would make it stronger, said the audience would love it. So Carol agreed. She would do it, but she didn't expect what would happen when the cameras rolled. Something inside her broke. The moment her co-star, playing her father, walked on set, she felt her throat tighten. The lines suddenly felt like real words from her past. The apology he delivered wasn't from a character. It sounded like something her real father never said. By the end of the scene, Carol's eyes were wet, and not from laughter. The audience clapped. The producers were thrilled. But Carol walked off the stage in silence. That night, she locked herself in her dressing room, and the pain began to grow. The apology that never came. After the show, the crew celebrated. Another successful taping. The ratings would be great, but Carol didn't join them. She sat alone, thinking about the words from the sketch. Where were you when I needed you the most? Those weren't just lines. They were questions she had held in her heart since childhood. Her father had left her when she was young. She was raised by her grandmother in a small apartment in Hollywood. Every sound from that stage that night echoed her childhood cries. The makeup, the lights, none of it could hide the truth she felt in that moment. That sketch had awakened something she thought was buried. A hurt so deep, she felt like a child again. A few days later, a friend asked her how she felt about the scene. Carol simply said, "I wish we never taped it." When the episode aired, Carol didn't watch. She couldn't. She left the house and went for a walk instead. And that became a pattern. Every time the rerun aired, Carol would find a reason to be somewhere else. Even years later, when fans praised the emotional sketch, she would smile politely, but quickly change the subject. There was no apology from her father. He had passed away long before she could ask for one. The sketch had become her silent goodbye, but also a reminder that not every wound heals with time. Behind the laughter, a secret breakdown. Carol Burnett kept the show going. That was her job. Make people laugh. Bring joy. Hide the pain. But after that episode, her energy began to change. During rehearsals, she was quieter, sometimes distracted. The cast noticed it. Vicki Lawrence once asked if she was okay. Carol said, "Just tired." But it wasn't just that. That one episode had pulled off the mask. For years, Carol had been hiding behind her characters. Eunice, Mrs. Wiggins, the famous Tarzan yell. All of it was her way of staying far from the pain of her real life. But now the wall had cracked. During a writers' meeting one day, Carol stood up and said, "No more family drama sketches." The room fell silent. She didn't explain. She didn't need to. They knew. That sketch had cost her something. Not just a few tears, but a part of her peace. And even though the audience would never know, she did. And that was enough. A fan letter she couldn't ignore. Months after the episode aired, Carol received a letter in the mail. She got hundreds every week, but this one was different. It was from a woman in Ohio. She wrote about watching that sketch with her father, a man who had never said sorry for leaving her and her siblings when they were kids. That night, something changed. The sketch made him cry. Then he turned to his daughter and said, "I should have been there." The woman ended the letter by writing, "That scene healed something in our family. Thank you for being brave enough to do it." Carol read that letter over and over. She cried. She smiled. And then she put it in a drawer. She never answered it, but she never threw it away. That letter told her what she already knew. The scene was powerful. It touched people. It had done more than make them laugh. It had made them feel. But still, Carol couldn't bring herself to watch it, because even if it helped others, it still hurt her. It was a strange kind of pain, one that had a purpose. She had opened a wound on stage, and it had helped strangers heal. But for her, it stayed open, and that made her wonder, was it worth it? The final decision. Years later, as her show ended and Carol moved on to other roles, the memory of that episode stayed. Reporters still brought it up from time to time. That sketch with the father, it was so raw, they'd say. Carol would smile politely and say, "Yes, it was a hard one." But in private, she kept her answer to herself. One day, during an interview in the late 90s, she was asked directly, "Is it true you've never rewatched that episode?" Carol didn't laugh it off. She looked the interviewer in the eye and said, "No, I haven't, and I won't." That was all she said. She didn't explain, but fans felt the truth in her voice. It wasn't because the acting was bad. It wasn't because the sketch failed. It was because it was too honest, too personal, too real. And sometimes, even the strongest comedians, the ones who carry the weight of the world's laughter, need to protect their hearts. That episode became a quiet legend, a moment frozen in time, loved by fans, feared by its star. To this day, Carol Burnett doesn't watch it. But maybe, just maybe, that's what makes it unforgettable. Not because of what we saw, but because of what she felt, and what she chose never to see again.